Hey, good day everyone. Here's another video about You Can Do It. So today I'm going to show you how to set up a fish tank, especially for all the new fish lovers that want to set something up for themselves or their kids. We have a 20-gallon tank here, and I'm going to be moving these fishes and adding additional fishes to a new 36-gallon fish tank, and I want to show you how to set that up. All right, folks, I also want to take a minute to explain why I'm making this video. Generally speaking, when you set up a fish tank, especially when it's your first time and you're doing it for yourself or your kids, you go to, one of the pet stores, Pet Supplies, PetSmart, Petco, and you buy a kit usually that has everything in there to get the aquarium set up. You can buy a 5-gallon, 10-gallon, 20-gallon, whatever size you want. But it's gonna come with some fake plants, maybe some decorations, some ornaments for the fish, and then you put whatever fish you want. And many times, people aren't successful in getting the fish tank set up, or the fish die and the water is constantly dirty. And we, just like new fish owners ourselves, being fish owners for 4 to 5 weeks, experience, these growing pains in the first several weeks. The water was always dirty. I'm walking into a room and the tank is just smelling badly, and it's just penetrating, throughout the room. Smells like rotten eggs, and we do water changes, and there's many videos about that. There's some pros and cons, and maybe we're feeding the fish too much, and maybe we had just too many fish. But anyways, there's a lot of variables. But what we found is, once we put in live plants roughly 2.5 weeks ago, the plants were obviously absorbing the nitrates, the waste from the fish, and it wasn't making our fish tank cloudy. And the fish were enjoying it more. And obviously then we noticed, okay, we gotta remove the fake stuff and put in real stuff. And obviously it's gonna cost you a little more, but it's gonna really make sure that you have a sustainable environment for the fish. And if you can keep it all natural, that'll make it beneficial. So we're using soil and then sand, and then we're gonna throw in some additional natural stuff like rocks and leaves, and so I think that is an area where fish owners, the reason they struggle is because they rely on these kits, and the kits aren't a optimal solution for every fish owner. So hopefully this video is going to help you. All right, guys, I have a new 36-gallon tank, which I'm placing over here, as you can see. So the first thing that you want to do is consider the substrate material that you're going to use. You can buy pebbles, you can buy rocks, you can use dirt and then sand, and you can use things from Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, or you can go to Petco, PetSmart. But what we're doing is we're actually using soil. And so I took all-purpose garden soil and used roughly a half a bag and created a 1-inch substrate. And then I put maybe 2 big pots of water here. And obviously I used gloves and mixed everything up and got this all nice and wet. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait about 2 days for the dirt to absorb the water, and for the ammonia, which is a a chemical which is pretty excessive in soil, for that to all be absorbed and get out in the open atmosphere, because obviously the ammonia is going to kill the fish, and you don't want that to happen. And so in about 2 days, then I'm going to put another inch and a half, maybe 2 inches of regular play sand, and that's going to serve as my substrate. And I'll show you when we get to that stage. But then we're going to add a boatload of plants, which I have, and I mean live plants. And all right, guys, I'm back in here. I put another full pot of water in here. I want to make sure that the soil is very moist, and I'm going to go through and make sure that there's no air pockets. Spend 5 to 10 minutes going through the soil. And I think I said in the prior, earlier in the video, that I'm going to wait 2 days. You don't really need to wait 2 days if you're going to heavily plant your aquarium with live plants to get the ammonia out. There's still going to be a certain level of ammonia, and there's a nitrogen cycle that we're going to that, you know, that's going to exist naturally. So, and you can do a lot of research on nitrogen cycles. But, you know, after I get this all set, I would leave it for maybe 2 more hours, and then I'm going to put some sand in it. All right, guys, so it's been sitting there for a few hours now. I cleaned out the corners. I'm going to put, I don't know, try to put up maybe half the bag of this all natural play sand. All right, guys, I ended up actually using the full bag, and I think that it's more than enough. We're just gonna level this out. It probably gives us close to 2 inches around both sides. So let me just try to level this out best as I can. All right, guys, so here's the setup. I got maybe 2.5, 3 inches of sand, maybe an inch more than what I wanted, but hey, got rid of the bag. And I'm just gonna put a big Tupperware here inside, and then I'm gonna put in water in that Tupperware from a bigger bucket, so that way the water goes in slowly and doesn't splash everything on the screen. Actually, instead of using a Tupperware, I'm just gonna use a bowl and then put water in that bowl from a bigger bucket, and then it's gonna fall out slowly into the tank. The whole purpose of that is so there's no splatter on the other parts of the glass. This is gonna be a slow and steady process. There you go, guys, so you can see how this is gonna work. I'm gonna do the initial one a little faster. But we don't want a lot of the sand mixing with the soil. I mean, yeah. All right, guys, so I got 2 buckets in there, and as you can see, you got some filtered water. And I sort of expected this because the sand is dirty itself, and I didn't wash it beforehand. But after I filled this up, I'm actually gonna take some water out and put some clean water, maybe 3, 4 buckets, guys. As you can see, it gets pretty milky and sandy. And now I'm gonna do is, just what I've been doing is just taking my bucket and just putting it all the way in here, and then dropping the water that way so it doesn't make it more cloudy. But I'm gonna ultimately remove like 3 or 4 buckets of water and put in clean water again, so hopefully that'll clean things up at the end. All right, guys, I got the tank full of water, and as you can see, it's super cloudy. I have also removed about 4 buckets of water and put in 4 buckets of fresh new water, and it's still cloudy. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait about an hour or 2 and see if all the dust from the sand settles at the bottom. And then I am also gonna put on 2 filters here. And the purpose of those filters is to clean out all this, all the cloudiness, and hopefully that gets filtered. And usually, you know, I would just be using 1 filter, but to clean out the tank and make the water clear, because obviously you want that. You don't want the tank looking like this. This is an eyesore, and so that's why I'm gonna use 2 filters. I have a big sponge filter. I'm gonna set that up, and I'm gonna set up over the back a hang filter, which I had. Yeah, I have an extra one laying around. So, and then we'll just see how clean the water gets. Sometimes it'll take a few hours, sometimes it'll take a few days, and then we'll determine what to do next. All right, guys, so I got the over the hang filter, and we got this spinny thing. Don't really know what it's called exactly. We got a filter in there. This goes down. We're gonna plug it in. But the way that this works is, you know, it just sits this way onto the tank. We're gonna fill this up with water. You can put some other items too, and I don't want to get into the details of that right now, but you know, this is simply gonna, you know, go on like this after we fill it up, and it's gonna cover the filter, and then once the water is filled in there, it's gonna go out, cycle through. We're not gonna do it right now, but I just wanted to show you how to set that up. Let me put some water in there and plug it in, and I'll show you. All right, guys, I'm filling this up with water, just like I told you all. It's been plugged in. Then we need a little more water. Let's take some water out of here. Put it in there. I have to put some more water in the tank for this to work properly. But that's what it's going to be doing. It's going to be sucking up the water from the bottom, running it through, and cycling it and filtering it. All right, guys. The reason it wasn't cycling first is this tube was loose. But now we got it in there. The water is filled. And we got the cover on. And again, we'll just wait a few days. You can see all the gunk in there, and we're gonna put another sponge filter in there too. So hopefully between this filter and the other filter, it'll clean out the mess. So here's another filter. This is called the sponge filter. This is how it is. We're gonna attach this to the top. It's gonna stick in there. I'm gonna need 2 hands for that to stick it in there. There you go. And then we're just gonna feed a tube in there, and we're gonna connect it to an air pump, and that's what's gonna make this run. 1 second, let me show you the air pump. This is the air pump, and we're gonna plug that in, and we're gonna connect the other end of the tube to the air pump right there. So let me get that set up. And if you're wondering prices, this air filter, sponge filter, is the most cheapest, most economical filters you can get, about $7. Air pump about $10 or $11. Over the hang filters, $30 to $40, depending on the size that you need. So, obviously these are cheaper online, eBay and Amazon versus, at the pet supply store. So let me plug in this filter. Okay, guys, we got this tube into a tube in the side there. We got this tube into the tube right there. Then I'm gonna connect this cap back on, and I'm gonna submerge this in the water right here. Obviously this doesn't look pretty. That's one of the reasons a lot of people, use other filters, unless you have the cord that hides this. That's what we're gonna do. We have big rocks, and I'm gonna put this in the back. And we'll just go from there. So now you see that it's making bubbles. It's cleaning it out. It's filtering it. So with 2 filters running, hopefully we should be in a good position. All right, guys, don't make the mistake I made. I told you that I did not wash the sand, and it was just super dirty. So even after running the filters for about 7 or 8 hours, I noticed it wasn't making a dent in the cloudiness of the tank. I was gonna have to do multiple water refills, so I just decided to take everything out. It wasn't that hard. I have this huge 8-gallon wet whack, and it took maybe on 3 big buckets of that. I was able to take all the water out, and I'm gonna try to get as much sand out as possible, and I'm gonna rinse the sand and then put it back in, and then refill the water. Hopefully that's gonna clean all the dust and debris from the sand. Still not gonna be crystal clear, but it'll be a lot better than what it was. I noticed my filters were working super hard. You can see all the gunk built up on the filters. So, I think this is just gonna be better. All right, guys, so what I did is I rinsed this like 5 or 6 times, filling it up, taking the excess water, dumping it in the toilet. But it's still very dirty. So I'll just give it a shot. Let me just rinse this first, right around the side, so all that settles in the bottom. We'll go from there. All right, guys, so after draining it and refilling it, draining it, washing the sand numerous times, I don't know, like 7 or 8 times, I'm still left with a mess. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna leave this. I've done some research online, and it just basically says leave it, the sand and the dust from the sand will settle. I had my filters running, and I got 2 filters in there, a sponge filter, you can't see it because of all the dust, and a hang filter. But basically the dust from the sand and then the soil you know, it moved, the soil moved when I was sucking everything out with my vet vac. So anyways, it's a mess right now. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a few days and see if it settles. I mean, some people have waited 1 week, 2 weeks for this, so we'll just see. I'll give it a, you know, maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe till the end of the week before I run the filters. And we'll just see if anything improves. Otherwise, then I'll start just, what my plan is to do 30% water changes. And we'll go from there. All right, guys, I just wanted to give you an update. So, you know, after I changed the water, I got super cloudy and dark yellow, moderate brown. And so what I did is I left it for about 2 days. It started getting lighter, all the sand settled, and then for 3 days I ran both filters, the sponge filter and the hang filter. And then last night I did a 50% water change and it cleared up significantly. So I would say don't panic. I did a lot of research and you know, I contacted you know, a lot of fish specialists. Everyone just told me this is normal when the water gets that colored. With this gets discolored because of the sand, the dust from the sand, you know, goes all around, and it will take 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for the water to clear. Run your filters. I also reached out to Father Fish, who is a fish expert, and he has his own YouTube channel, and he was kind enough to respond and tell me the same thing. Hey, just run your filters. If you have multiple sponge filters, that would be the best, and the sand will just settle and the filters will pull out all the, you know, debris and particles, and you'll get clear water. You can also add plants which can absorb some of the water, I mean some of the you know, chemicals quicker. So anyways, just wanted to give you an update. So I'm gonna let this keep on running for another week and give you an update. All right, guys, here's an update. This is maybe another 3 days has passed, and as you can see, the water has gotten a lot clearer. You know, I still have both filters running. I did maybe a 25% water change 2 days ago. So as you can see, the process works, and I've added some plants. You gotta be patient, super patient. Hey guys, just wanted to give you an update. Here's the setup. We got plants in there, we got cholla wood, we got some rocks. Water has been cleared. It's been about, I would say, 11 days end to end. So it gives you an idea that the process works. Hey guys, wanted to give you a heads up. I took some water out of this old tank, and I took 5 fishes out, and I put them in the new tank that I'm setting up. The reason that I use the same water from here is it already has some good bacteria that's going to transfer over, and not really stress the fish out a lot. So I did that. All right guys, here's the 5 fish in the new tank. They've moved over. One thing I forgot to tell you all, I had already put in the water conditioner. I used, you know, 1 scoop of this, and then I had Prime, the bottle finish, but just wanted to give you a heads up. You got to put that in before you put the fish. Prime, with Prime, the conditioner, you don't necessarily need to wait many days. But with this other one, the yellow bottle one, you usually gotta wait a few days. So, and then, you know, I got the light installed. It's one of those colorful LED lights, and the only thing I gotta do right now is put a heater in, but it's the summer and this tank is near the window, so I'm not necessarily worried about it. Again, hopefully this helps you learn how to set up a tank. And as you can see, the fish are relaxed in there, they're not stressed out. And I'll give it about a week before I transfer the rest of the fish. All right guys, another video, but you can do it.